The red planet looked peaceful from space. Mars had been humanity's second home for 30 years. 3,000 people lived there, working in labs and greenhouses, building a future for their species. Now 6 alien warships hung above them like vultures. Director Jisoo stood in the main control room of the Mars colony. She watched the screen as the Vrelthian ships took positions around Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system. Her hands were shaking, but she kept her voice steady. "All personnel to shelter level 5, she announced over the speakers. "This is not a drill. Move quickly, but do not run. Help anyone who needs assistance." Outside, the Martian sky was thin and pink. The alien ships were dark shapes against it. They were close enough now that people could see them without telescopes. Each ship bristled with weapons, guns that could crack a planet's crust, missiles that burned hotter than the sun. On Earth, President Daeho watched the same scene from his bunker. Around him, generals and admirals waited for his command. Dr. Yoonji stood nearby with a tablet in her hands. She was checking calculations one last time.
"Sir, the Vrelthians are charging their weapons," Admiral Kyung reported.
"They are targeting the volcano. One shot will trigger an eruption. The entire colony will be destroyed." Daeho felt cold. 3,000 lives. Scientists, engineers, children. Mars was supposed to be humanity's triumph. Now it might become a grave. "Time until they fire?" he asked. "Unknown. They are waiting for us to surrender." A transmission came through from the alien ships. Ambassador Krell's face appeared on the screen. The insect-like creature looked pleased with itself. "Humans," Krell said, "this is your final chance. Submit your weapons data to the Council. Agree to all restrictions, or we will demonstrate why obedience is required." Daeho stood up. He was not a tall man, but in that moment he seemed to fill the room. "You threaten civilians. Unarmed people who have done nothing to you. This is not law. This is murder. This is necessity," Krell replied. "Order must be maintained. Submit or 3,000 of your kind will die. You have 1 of your hours to decide." The transmission ended. The bunker was silent. Everyone looked at the president. Daeho turned to Admiral Kyung. "How many ships can reach Mars in time?" 3, sir. "The Mugunghwa, the Baekdu, and the Halasan. They are our newest vessels, all equipped with quantum weapons." "Against 6 alien warships?" "Our simulations show a 97% chance of success," Dr. Yoonji said. "The Vrelthians have never encountered our technology. Their shields are designed to stop conventional weapons. Ours are not conventional." Daeho nodded slowly. This was the moment. The choice that would define humanity's future. Submit and live as servants. Fight and maybe die free. "Authorization code Bright Dawn," he said clearly. "Engage the enemy." "Protect our people. Show them what happens when you threaten human families." Admiral Kyung saluted. "Yes, Mr. President." He opened a channel to the ships in orbit. "All vessels, this is Defense Command. Authorization Bright Dawn confirmed. Proceed to Mars at maximum speed. Weapons free on arrival. Protect the colony at all costs." In space, the 3 human ships turned. Their engines flared bright blue as they accelerated. Inside the Mugunghwa, Commander Tae-sung felt the ship push forward. He had waited his whole career for this moment. He had hoped it would never come. But now that it was here, he was ready. "Time to Mars?" he asked. 18 minutes at current speed, the navigator replied. Lieutenant Hana was at her weapons station. Her fingers moved across the controls, checking every system twice. The quantum coherence cannons were charged. The targeting computer was locked on. Everything was perfect. "Hana," Tae-sung said quietly, "when we arrive, you will have seconds to fire. Maybe less. The aliens will see us coming." "I understand, Commander. I will not miss." On the Baekdu, Captain Sumin gave similar orders to her crew. She was younger than most captains, but she had earned her position through skill and courage. Her tactical officer Junho sat beside her, counting down the minutes. "The Vrelthians are moving," Junho reported. "They are spreading out, creating a firing pattern around the volcano." "They are preparing to shoot," Sumin said. "We may not make it in time, but they had to try." 3,000 people were counting on them. 3,000 lives that humanity would not abandon. On Mars, Jisoo watched the countdown. The alien ships were almost ready. She could see energy building in their weapons, bright green light that made her eyes hurt. "Everyone is in the shelters," her assistant reported. "We are as safe as we can be." Jisoo nodded. Safe was relative. The shelters could protect them from radiation and heat. But if the volcano erupted, nothing would save them. The whole colony would be buried in lava and ash. She opened a channel to Earth. This is Mars colony. If this is the end, tell our families we love them. Tell them we were proud to be human. Tell them not to surrender. On Earth, millions of people watched their screens. They saw the alien ships. They saw the human vessels racing to help. They prayed. They cried. They hoped. The 3 human ships arrived at Mars. The Vrelthians saw them immediately. The alien commander laughed. 3 primitive vessels against 6 modern warships. It would be over in seconds. Human ships, the alien commander transmitted. Turn back or be destroyed. This is your only warning. Tae-sung did not answer. Instead, he gave one word. Fire. 3 violet beams shot across space. They moved at the speed of light. The Vrelthians barely had time to register them before impact. The beams hit the alien shields and passed through them like they were made of air. The shields were designed to stop normal weapons. Lasers, missiles, plasma bursts. But quantum coherence beams existed in all possible states at once. They were everywhere and nowhere until they touched their target. By then it was too late. The first alien ship vanished. No explosion, no debris. One moment it was there, a 2-kilometer warship with 300 crew. The next moment, nothing. Just empty space and dissipating energy. 5 seconds later, 5 more flashes. 5 more ships gone. The entire alien attack force erased in less time than it took to breathe. On Mars, Jisoo stared at her screen. The alien ships were simply gone. The threat had vanished. Her people were safe. On the Vrelthian command ship still near Earth, Ambassador Krell watched in horror. His compound eyes went dark. 6 ships, 6 warships with the most advanced shields in the galaxy, destroyed in seconds by primitive humans. A transmission came from the Mugunghwa. Commander Tae-sung's face appeared on Krell's screen. The human looked calm, almost friendly. Ambassador Krell, Tae-sung said politely, I believe we need to discuss terms. The previous arrangement was not acceptable. We suggest something more equal, more respectful. Krell could not speak. His mind was trying to process what had just happened, the impossible thing he had witnessed. We will be sending a delegation to the Galactic Council, Tae-sung continued. We expect to be received with courtesy. We expect to be treated as equals. And if any other species threatens human civilians, what happened here will happen to them. Are we clear? Finally, Krell found his voice. What are you? Tae-sung smiled. It was not a friendly smile. We are humanity. We are the species you thought was weak, and we are done being pushed around. The transmission ended. On Earth, people erupted in celebration. They cheered. They danced in the streets. Humanity had faced the alien threat and won. But in the government bunker, President Dae-ho did not celebrate. He knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy had seen what humans could do. Some would want to be friends. Others would want revenge. The real test was still to come. The Galactic Council met in a station called Nexus Prime. It was a massive structure floating between star systems, built from materials that sparkled like diamonds. 400 species had representatives there. It was the center of galactic power. Today, the council chamber was full of angry aliens. Holographic displays showed the battle at Mars from every angle. 6 Vrelthian warships destroyed in 10 seconds. The recordings played over and over. Each time, council members became more agitated. Councillor Vex spoke first. The crystalline being's voice sounded like wind chimes. This is impossible. Humans were classified as Tier 7. They should barely be capable of space travel. How do they have weapons like this? The classification was clearly wrong, hissed Councillor Thessa. The serpent-like alien coiled around her platform. The question now is what we do about it. Ambassador Krell stood before the council. His pride was shattered. The Vrelthian Concordat had been the council's military arm for thousands of years. They enforced the rules. They intimidated new species. Now they had been humiliated by primitives. The human weapons ignore our shields, Krell explained. Each word seemed to hurt him. Our sensors detected nothing before impact. The ship simply ceased to exist. We have no defense against this technology. In the gallery above, 3 humans watched the proceedings. Ambassador Yuna sat calmly between Colonel Changmin and Dr. Nari. They had arrived 3 days after the Mars incident. The council had invited them. Not ordered, invited. That small change in language meant everything. Yuna was a small woman with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. She had been a negotiator for Earth's government for 20 years. She had handled disputes between nations. Now she would handle disputes between species. Honored Council, Una said, standing smoothly. Humanity regrets the loss of life, but your concordat fired on unarmed civilians. We responded appropriately. Appropriately? Roared Councillor Brath. The bear-like creature was 3 meters tall and covered in thick fur. You vaporized 6 warships, 300 crew members dead, after they threatened 3,000 colonists, including children, Una replied calmly. Would the Council prefer we had allowed them to be murdered? The chamber fell silent. It was an uncomfortable truth. The Council's intimidation tactics had always worked because targeted species had no choice but to submit. Humanity had changed that equation. Councillor Vex chimed softly. The Council must vote on humanity's classification. I propose we send a delegation to Earth to assess their full military capacity. Or, Una interrupted, we could propose a different arrangement. The Council does not negotiate with inferior species, Krell began. Then it is good that we are not inferior, Colonel Changman said. His voice was hard. You saw what 3 of our ships can do. We have 47 more in service, 200 under construction, all equipped with the same weapons. It was a lie. Earth had only 12 quantum-equipped ships. But the Council did not know that. And the threat was effective. Councillor Thessa's tongue flickered. You would threaten the Council itself? We offer partnership, Una corrected. Humanity has no interest in conquest. We do not want an empire. But we will not be slaves either. We propose a mutual defense treaty, equal trade rights, a seat at this table. Impossible! Brath stood to his full height. The Council's structure has existed for 12,000 cycles. We do not change for one upstart species. Dr. Nari stood up. She was quiet most of the time, but when she spoke, people listened. Perhaps you should change, because we have information you need. She activated a holographic display. It showed the galaxy with dozens of blinking dots at the edge. Our sensors detected these ships during our journey here. 73 vessels using quantum masking technology. They match no Council species signature. The chamber went silent. Councillor Vex's crystalline form began to glow brighter. You detected the Devourer fleet? If that is what you call them, Nari confirmed. Your sensors cannot see them because they use quantum masking. Our sensors work differently. We can track them. We know where they are going. The Devourers were a nightmare that had plagued the galaxy for decades. They appeared without warning, destroyed colonies, and vanished before anyone could respond. Thousands of worlds had been attacked. Millions had died. The Council had never been able to track them. How many ships? Vex asked urgently. 217, Nari said. And they are gathering for a coordinated attack. Based on their trajectory, they are targeting this station. You have approximately 6 days. Panic rippled through the chamber. Representatives from dozens of species began talking at once. Some demanded proof. Others wanted to evacuate. Many looked at the humans with new eyes. Humanity had just offered something invaluable. A way to fight an enemy that had eluded them for years. A defense against genocide. Councillor Vex raised a crystalline limb for silence. These are serious claims. Can you prove them? Nari transmitted data to the Council's systems. Detailed sensor readings, ship signatures, movement patterns. It was all real, all accurate, all terrifying. We will share our sensor technology, Una said. We will help defend this station. But in exchange, we want a seat at this table. We want to be treated as equals. Partners, not subjects. Krell's compound eyes flickered. And if the Devourers do not come? If this is a trick? Then we leave peacefully, Una replied. We have no reason to lie. The Devourers are coming whether you believe us or not. We are offering you a chance to survive. Brath growled low in his throat. The Council cannot simply grant membership to every species that makes threats. We saved your colony at Mars from destruction, Changmin said. We just told you about an attack on your headquarters. These are not threats. They are facts. You need us. It was not polite. It was not diplomatic. But it was true. Councillor Thessa coiled tighter. The Council will need time to deliberate. Of course, Una said smoothly. Take all the time you need. Just remember you have 6 days before the Devourers arrive, and they will not wait for your vote. The session ended. The human delegation was escorted to guest quarters. They were comfortable rooms with views of the stars. But Changmin noticed the guards outside their door. They do not trust us yet, he said. They do not need to trust us, Yuna replied. They just need us, and in 6 days they will. Dr. Nari was reviewing data on her tablet. The Devourer fleet is moving faster than predicted. They might arrive in 5 days, not 6. Good, Yuna said. Less time for the council to debate. Less time to make bad decisions. Changmin looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 200 alien warships were approaching. They came to kill, to destroy, and humanity had just put itself directly in their path. Are we doing the right thing? He asked. We could have stayed home. Stayed safe. Yuna shook her head. Safe? There is no safe. The galaxy knows we exist now. If we hide on Earth, we will always be targets. But if we stand with the Council, if we prove our worth, we become allies instead of victims. And if the Devourers kill us all? Then at least we die fighting, Yuna said, as humans always have. In the council chamber, Vex and the other leaders argued late into the night. Some wanted to accept humanity's offer immediately. Others wanted to verify their claims first. A few suggested attacking the human ships before they could become a greater threat. But in the end, they all knew the truth. The Devourers were coming. The Council's weapons had failed against them for decades. Maybe, just maybe, human weapons would succeed where theirs had failed. It was not trust. It was necessity. But sometimes that was enough to start a partnership. The vote would come later. First, they had to survive the next 5 days. The Devourer fleet arrived exactly when Dr. Nari said it would. 217 ships appeared at the edge of the Nexus Prime system. Their hulls were black, darker than space itself. They looked like holes in reality, eating the light around them. Admiral Kyung stood on the command deck of the station's central defense platform. Beside him was Counselor Vex and military commanders from a dozen different species. In the 6 days since the warning, the Council had reluctantly agreed to work with humanity. Confirm targets, Kyung ordered. His voice was calm, but inside he felt the weight of what was coming. This was not a small battle. This was war against an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for decades. The 12 human warships in the system locked their weapons on the Devourer vessels. Around them, 300 Council warships moved into defensive positions. It looked like a strong force. But everyone who had fought the Devourers before knew the truth. The odds were not good. Lieutenant Hana's voice came through the communication system from the Mugunghwa. Sir, Devourer ships are dispersing into attack formation. They are targeting the station's shield generators. The Devourers moved with perfect coordination. No wasted movement. No hesitation. They had done this hundreds of times before. They knew exactly how to destroy a defended station. Human vessels, take position in the defensive grid, Counselor Vex ordered. You will provide support. Council forces will engage directly. Kyung looked at Colonel Changmin, who was monitoring from a nearby console. They had expected this. The Council still did not fully trust humanity. Even now facing extinction, they wanted to keep humans in a secondary role. Understood, Kyung replied. His tone was neutral. The Devourer fleet opened fire. Dark energy beams cut across space. They hit Council shields and burned through them like acid through paper. The first wave of defense ships lasted less than 20 seconds. A Vrelthian cruiser exploded. 2 Quarian defenders were torn apart. Debris scattered across space. They have upgraded their weapons, Vex said. The crystalline being's voice was full of alarm. Our shields are only working at 40% efficiency. This is worse than previous encounters. More Council ships died. The Devourers moved like predators, targeting the strongest ships first. Command vessels exploded. Shield generators went dark. Within 5 minutes, 30 Council ships were gone and Nexus Prime's shields were failing. An explosion rocked the station. People stumbled. Alarms blared. The Devourers had broken through the outer defenses. Shields at 30%, someone shouted. Kyung turned to Vex. Counselor, we can stop this. But we need full authorization. No more holding us back. You will maintain your position, Vex began. Another explosion cut off the words. The station shook. Lights flickered. A Devourer missile had hit one of the main power cores. Changmin stepped forward. Counselor, we can end this battle right now. But we need authorization immediately. Vex's crystalline form pulsed with colors. Pride fought against survival. 300 years of Council superiority against the reality of imminent death. Finally, survival won. Authorization granted. Engage at will, Admiral Kyung. Kyung allowed himself a small smile. All human vessels, Protocol Bright Dawn is active. Target their command ship. He highlighted a massive vessel at the center of the Devourer formation. It was larger than the others, covered in weapons. Fire on my mark. The 12 human warships turned in perfect unison. Their quantum coherence weapons charged. Energy built in their cores, bending space around them. On every ship, weapon officers prepared to fire. Mark. 12 violet beams lanced through space at the speed of light. They crossed the distance to the Devourer command ship in less than a second. The ship's shields were advanced, better than anything the Council had. Shields that had stopped every weapon ever fired at them. The beams passed through those shields like they did not exist. Through the hull, through the internal structure, through the engines and the crew quarters and the command center. The ship did not explode. It simply stopped being. One moment, a 3-kilometer warship with thousands of crew. The next moment, nothing. Just empty space and radiation. The Devourer fleet's perfect coordination broke. For the first time in recorded history, they hesitated. Confusion rippled through their formation. All vessels rapid fire, Kyung ordered. Target their heavy cruisers. Do not give them time to adapt. The human warships spread out. Each ship picked targets and fired. Violet beams shot across the battlefield. Each beam meant death. The Devourers tried to dodge, but the quantum weapons moved at light speed. There was no dodging light. On the Baekdu, Captain Sumin watched her tactical display with satisfaction. Her ship had just destroyed its 7th target. Their hulls are advanced, she commented to Junho, but they are still made of matter. Our weapons do not care what something is made of. They just erase it. The Devourers tried to fight back. They concentrated fire on the human ships. Dark energy beams hammered at the human vessels. But the human shields were also quantum-based. They existed in multiple states at once. The Devourer weapons could not lock onto them properly. Shields holding at 90%, Junho reported. Their weapons are powerful, but they cannot focus on us. Sumin smiled. Then let us give them something else to worry about. She targeted a cluster of 3 Devourer destroyers. 3 shots, 3 flashes of violet light, 3 ships gone. Across the battlefield, the pattern repeated. Human ships danced through the Devourer formation. Untouchable and deadly, each pass meant more enemy vessels destroyed. The Devourers had numbers, but numbers meant nothing against weapons that could not be stopped. On Nexus Prime's command deck, the Council representatives watched in stunned silence. The enemy that had haunted them for decades was being destroyed. Easily. Almost casually. 15 minutes after the human ships engaged, the Devourer fleet broke. The remaining ships, fewer than 50 now, fled in all directions. They jumped to faster-than-light speed and vanished. The battle was over. The Council ships held position. Their crews stared at their sensors, trying to process what they had just witnessed. The humans had done in 15 minutes what the Council had failed to do in 30 years. They had defeated the Devourers. Counselor Vex slowly turned to face Kyung. Your weapons operate beyond any technology we know. They use quantum physics, Kyung explained. The beam exists in multiple states at once, both here and there, both particle and wave. When it hits the target, reality collapses into one state. By then, the beam is already inside the enemy ship. Shields cannot stop something that is already past them. Why did you not use these weapons against our demonstration fleet immediately? Vex asked. Because then you would have seen us only as a threat to destroy, Changmin answered. We needed you to see us as partners first. We needed you to ask for our help. Counselor Thessa appeared in a hologram beside them. A manipulative strategy. A diplomatic one, Yuna said, joining the conversation. She had been watching from the guest quarters. Humanity learned long ago that perception matters. We showed restraint at Mars. We could have destroyed your entire fleet near Earth, but we did not. We wanted you to invite us to the Council. We wanted partnership, not domination. Counselor Brath's massive form appeared in another hologram. The bear-like alien looked tired. The Council will need to discuss this. Of course, Yuna said smoothly. Take your time. We will be here, defending Nexus Prime from any other threats. It was not exactly a threat, but it was not exactly not a threat either. The message was clear. Humanity had saved the Council. Now it was time for the Council to return the favor. In the wreckage of the battlefield, a few Devourer escape pods drifted. For the first time, the Council would have prisoners to interrogate. They would finally learn who the Devourers were, where they came from, why they attacked. But that was for later. Right now, everyone was trying to understand what had just changed. The balance of galactic power had shifted in 15 minutes. Humanity had proven they were not just another species to be absorbed and controlled. They were a force that could change everything. 3 months after the Battle of Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council gathered for the most important vote in its 12,000-year history. The chamber was packed with representatives from every member species. Billions more watched across the galaxy on their screens and holograms. Ambassador Yuna stood before the assembly wearing formal Earth diplomatic attire. Beside her, Dr. Yunji held a data tablet containing carefully edited specifications for humanity's quantum weapons technology. Not everything, just enough to show how it worked without revealing all the secrets. Counselor Vex's crystalline form resonated across multiple frequencies. Honored Council, we gather to vote on humanity's application for full membership. They request Tier 2 classification and a seat on the Security Council. The announcement caused shocked murmurs throughout the chamber. Tier 2 was reserved for advanced species with strong military capacity. Only 15 species held that classification. Security Council membership was even more exclusive. Only 7 species could vote on military matters. Counselor Brath spoke next. His massive bear-like form stood at full height. The Ursinian Dominion opposes this motion. Humanity has been in space for barely one of our centuries. They have no diplomatic history, no proven record of peaceful coexistence. Because you never gave them the chance, Counselor Thessa replied, her serpentine body coiled with agitation. The Serpentine Dominion supports humanity. They proved their military worth. They defended Council territory when we could not. The debate continued for hours. Some species saw humanity as potential protectors. Others saw them as dangerous newcomers who had upset the established order. A few species remembered how the Council had treated them when they first joined. They did not want humanity to suffer the same intimidation. Finally, Ambassador Krell stood. The Vrelthian's compound eyes fixed on Yuna. 3 months had not erased his humiliation at Mars. The Concordat acknowledges our initial assessment was incorrect. However, we cannot ignore that human weapons represent a fundamental threat to all established powers. Perhaps those powers needed to be threatened, Yuna replied calmly. With respect, Ambassador, the Council maintained order through intimidation. Species were kept in their place through fear. The Devourer crisis proved that approach was failing. What approach does humanity propose? Krell asked. Yuna activated a holographic display showing technical schematics. Shared defense, shared technology, shared prosperity. Dr. Yunji has prepared a proposal for council-wide quantum sensor upgrades. With our detection technology, Devourer raids would become impossible. We offer this freely. In exchange for what? Brath demanded. In exchange for a council that respects its members as equals, Yuna said. Humanity will share defensive technology. We will commit our ships to council security, but we will not be treated as inferiors. Dr. Nari stepped forward. We have also detected additional threats. She projected astronomical data showing 3 distinct signals approaching council space. Our deep space sensors identified these anomalies. They are coming from different directions. They will arrive within 5 years. She enlarged the images. Strange energy signatures. Movement patterns that matched no known species. Size estimates that suggested fleets larger than the Devourers. Whatever is coming, Nari continued, it is bigger than anything you have faced before. And with your current technology, you cannot even see it coming. The chamber fell silent. Even Brath looked disturbed. 3 unknown threats. 3 possible extinction events. And only humanity could detect them. Counselor Vex chimed softly. The vote will proceed. All in favor of granting humanity full membership with Tier 2 classification and Security Council representation, indicate now. Lights began appearing across the chamber as species cast their votes. Green for yes, red for no, blue for abstain. The voting continued for several minutes as 400 species made their choice. Finally, the tally appeared on the main display. 287 in favor, 94 opposed, 23 abstentions. The motion passes, Vex declared. Humanity is hereby recognized as a full member of the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities. Welcome, Ambassador Yuna. The chamber erupted in mixed reactions. Some species cheered. Others grumbled. A few looked genuinely pleased. But everyone understood what had just happened. The galaxy's power structure had changed forever. Colonel Changmin leaned close to Yuna. "We did it." "We started it," Yuna corrected quietly. "Now comes the hard part, proving we deserve to be here." On Earth, President Deho watched the vote from his office in Seoul. Around the planet, billions of people celebrated. Humanity was no longer alone, no longer isolated. They were part of something bigger. On Mars, Director Jisoo watched with the colonist who had nearly died 3 months ago. They understood better than anyone what this membership meant: protection, security, a future. In orbit around Nexus Prime, Captain Sumin stood on the bridge of the Baekdu. Her crew was receiving new patrol assignments, joint operations with Council species, working alongside aliens who had wanted to destroy them months ago. "Do you think they will ever trust us?" Yunyo asked. "Trust is earned slowly," Sumin replied. "We earned their fear quickly. We earned their respect at the battle. Trust will come with time." Commander Tai Sung watched from the Mugunghwa as alien ships approached for joint patrol formation. A Vrelthian cruiser, 2 Quarian defenders, a Serpentine scout ship. Species that had been enemies or strangers were now allies. His communications officer Minjae approached with a tablet. "Sir, we have patrol routes assigned. The Council wants us to investigate one of the anomalies Dr. Nari detected." "Which one?" "The closest. It is approximately 6 light-years away. Estimated arrival is 2 years." Taesung studied the data. The anomaly was massive. Possibly hundreds of ships. Possibly something worse. "Prepare the crew. We leave in 12 hours. As the ship made ready to depart, Taesung stood at the main viewport. He looked out at Nexus Prime and the dozens of alien vessels docked there. 3 months ago, humanity had been alone. Now they were part of a galactic community, but the galaxy was dangerous. The Devourers were scattered but not defeated. 3 unknown threats were approaching, and hundreds of species were watching to see if humanity could live up to its promises. Taesung remembered his conversation with Minjae earlier. Could humans and aliens truly work together? Could species that had been enemies become partners? He did not know, but he knew they had to try, because the alternative was facing the coming darkness alone, and that was a fight no one could win. The Mugunghwa pulled away from Nexus Prime and jumped to faster-than-light speed. Behind it, the Baekdu and Halasan followed. 3 human ships heading into unknown space, looking for threats, protecting a council that had tried to subjugate them months ago. It was strange. It was difficult. It was necessary. On Earth, children went to sleep dreaming of stars. Adults planned futures that included alien friends. Scientists worked on new technologies to share with the Council. Diplomats prepared for complex negotiations with hundreds of species. The age of human isolation was over. The age of galactic partnership had begun. And somewhere in deep space, Commander Taesung led humanity's ships into the unknown, ready to face whatever came next. They had proven humans were not weak. They had proven human weapons were not worthless. Now they had to prove something even more important: that humanity could be trusted, that they could be partners, that they could help build something better than the old council had ever been. It would take time. It would take effort. It would require patience and wisdom and occasional shows of force. But humanity had never been afraid of hard work. The galaxy was changing, and humans were going to be part of that change, not as conquerors, not as servants, but as equals. The stars waited. The threats approached, and humanity was ready.